Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, Ixalan spoiler season, or should I say, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season is going crazy. And yeah, the power creep is real. And I think why I kind of said the original Ixalan right there instead of Lost Caverns of Ixalan is because this episode is going to kind of take a step back a little bit and bring up a new card. And just how it kind of identifies and just exemplifies power creep and kind of how it's been over the past couple of years, because this new card, yeah, might not be the most powerful one of all time, but it kind of just shows like at a base level, things are getting, well, better and easier for powerful cards out there. And let's just jump into it. Bedrock Tortoise. So Bedrock Tortoise is a 0/6 for 4 mana. And yeah, 20, 30 years ago, that would be like, yeah, okay, that's a pretty good card. It's a wall you got there. I'm not going to be able to get through on you. But that's not it, of course. It says, as long as it's your turn, creatures you control have hexproof. So this is just apparently, okay, ignore the rest of the text. It's just a great defender that's like, you know what, let's protect my creatures on my turn. So, you know, no combat shenanigans trying to, you know, get rid of my creatures' instant speed while I'm doing things. Now, obviously, this would be even better, you know, if you're playing in a one-on-one scenario, because it's like, yeah, your opponent's instants basically turn into sorceries in that way when it comes to creature removal. In Commander, it's still very good to protect your creatures on your turn. Still, like, on an opponent's turn, another opponent could cast a spell to target your creatures because it's not your turn still. So technically, instants could still work to 2/3 as well, essentially, as they do, I guess, because you still have opportunities on other opponents' turns. That being said, it's not done yet, because it also says each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So that part is kind of also a lot of power creep there. Not just because, okay, just inherently on its face, this is a 6/6 for 4 mana that protects all of your creatures, right? Yeah, I mean, that's just, it protects all your creatures on your turn. But a 6/6 for 4 mana. We're going to go through some examples here in just a little bit about how, again, the power creep has just gone pretty crazy over the history of Magic. But also, again, this just kind of, well, makes it a bit too easy, kind of, when it comes to, like, yeah, just slapping it in a creature-based strategy, because typically we had seen other kinds of cards that weren't as simple and straightforward as, hey, yeah, if your toughness is greater than power, you get your toughness as your power. It's best of both worlds, essentially, instead of being like, no, you kind of got to build around the effect because it only is like, no, all your creatures are toughness, essentially. So it's pretty interesting, again, just how much power creep we've been getting lately over the past couple of years, especially, I would say, and just how, I mean, again, 4 mana, 6/6, that protects all your creatures, and also says, hey, yeah, by the way, if you have any other creatures that have greater toughness, you're also just better. Those creatures are just better now, too. And then also, again, just kind of the easing of just, like, difficulty around certain mechanics like that, where it's like, you know what? Instead of making it too difficult for you, because you wouldn't want to include that, that'd just be a feel bad to include it in a deck where you happen to have some creatures that have greater power than toughness in it and make them weaker. Oh, darn. We want to make it so that you can actually just utilize it in any deck. And then therefore, not any deck, but any deck with creatures, essentially. And therefore, it's just going to increase the power, essentially, based on, you know, if you got creatures that have better toughness than power, then just inherently increases that too. So protection, 6/6 for 4 mana, and on top of that, potentially benefiting other creatures as well. Yeah, the power creep is kind of real. And again, let's just take a trip down memory lane to see where things were in the past. Because we've come a long way since Urza's, is that Urza's Saga? I can't remember which one that is. Urza's something. A 6/6 worm, or Gothian worm for 4 mana. Exact same thing, right? Wrong, because it's got trample, so better, right? Wrong. Comes into play, any player can sacrifice a land to put our Gothian worm on top of its owner's library. So the downside of this was so big that it was like, yeah, I've just got a giant 6/6 for 4 mana. Deal with it. And the opponent's like, okay, yeah, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm going to sacrifice a land, and now it's just stealing your fate, essentially. It's on top of your library. You're going to keep drawing that. You keep wanting to play that, you're just going to keep drawing back into it. So, yeah, it's just kind of crazy just how much things have, I mean, increased since then. I mean, it was 1998, so it's been a long time, but still, just wow. Moving on. Sentinel Centaurs, a 6/3. So, nowhere near the amount of toughness, obviously, for 4 mana. Can't be a target spell's ability, so that includes you, so that's Shroud, right? So kind of similar, right? But your opponents can't target either. But also it's got Echo, so you have to pay 4 mana on your next upkeep or it's gone. So basically this is paying 8 mana in total for a 6/3 with Shroud. Yeah, slightly different. Next up, Hunted Wumpus. Yeah, this one actually does see some play in Commander because there are some, I guess, group hug decks or just joke decks out there as well. They're like, yeah, it'd be funny if I built around this. 6/6 beast for 4 mana, just inherently. And then also on top of that, just a little ETB right here. Comes in play each other player, put a creature card from their hand right into play. So cheat out whatever you want. Oh, is that an Emrakul? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, that's game. How about Mungleworm? A 6/5 worm for 4 mana with a more restrictive casting cost. You can't untap more than 1 land during your untap step. Yep. So, yep, that's a massive downside. Again, I think this is Prophecy. Yeah, so way back when, if you wanted a 6/5 for 4 mana, there was a big cost to it. How about Pangasaur? This ain't another one. 6/6 Lizard. I'm sure it's been updated to Dinosaur these days. For 4 mana, when a player plays a land, return back to its owner's hand. Not just you, anyone plays a land. Anyone plays a land, bounces back to your hand. So again, the price for a 6/6 for 4 mana is a massive downside. These days, it's massive upside, again, protecting all your creatures on your turn, and then also saying, hey, if you happen to have a greater toughness, by the way, like I do, because I'm a turtle, you also get to have greater power, essentially. I mean, recently-ish, we did see, and I believe Guilds of Ravnica, is that what it is? We had Nullhide Ferox, a 6/6 beast with Hex for 4 mana, so somewhat similar, again, slightly more restrictive casting cost. This one does have a downside, though, and it says that you can't cast non-creature spells. Now, you can pay 2, and it loses all abilities until end of turn. Any player can activate the ability, so again, it would take out the hexproof, or if you're utilizing it, you can utilize it to actually cast non-creature spells. Again, you're probably not going to include this in a deck, though, where you have a lot of non-creature spells, because it'd just be really annoying to actually keep paying that. So again, the upside of this is just it being a 6/6 for 4 mana. On top of that, I guess, if a spell or ability opponent controls cause you to discard it, you go to the battlefield. So yes, there is that too. That being said, not a ton of Commander players out there like, hey, everyone mass discard. That being said again, though, yeah, we've come quite a ways from way back when. Even a couple years ago, come quite a ways to like, yeah, no, just a straight up 6/6 essentially. That gives all of our creatures hexproof during our turn and also says, hey, you're now bigger because your toughness. So, crazy things. Now again, like I mentioned, we have seen other cards somewhat similarly working with toughness and exchanging it essentially. And I'm going to quickly go through these because you're going to see a common pattern with basically all of these. Here we go. So, Assault Formation. Each creature control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So again, essentially, hey, yeah, you kind of need to build around this. You don't just say like, yeah, I'll just slap in whatever creatures and there's no downside. No, if you have creatures that have a tiny amount of toughness and a lot of power, like Kamal Pit Fighter, but 6/1, right? I believe. No, they're just 1/1s. I mean, they're much tinier than what they are. Doran Siege Tower, a commander that's completely built around this. Each creature assigns combat damage equal to its power rather than its toughness. Equal to its toughness rather than power. I said the exact opposite. Regardless, this one does affect your opponents as well, so keep that in mind. But yeah, you are building in just all toughness creatures, essentially. High Alert. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. And yeah, there's other things that happen on these too. I'm not just explaining those as well. I mean, I'll bring up that defenders can attack. Cool, that you have. But still, every single one of these so far is, yeah, upside if you are building around it. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to toughness rather than its power. Watley, there you go. How about another one? Rasad Imbasur. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and also attacks doubling toughness. Lovely. Then we've got Arcades, yet another commander that's like, hey, toughness matters, tribal. Hey, Arcades strategy says, whenever a creature defender is battlefield under control, draw a card. So yay, walls. And on top of that, each creature control with defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power and can attack as though it doesn't have defender. So again, very specific on what it's doing. Balden. As long as it's your turn, each creature assigns combat damage equal to toughness rather than its power. So again, you need to build around it. You're not just like, I guess when this attacks, you can give plus, X plus, or +0/+X to creatures. So sure, you could include some creatures that have greater power, but typically you're not going to be doing that. Belligerent Brontodon, yet another one. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to toughness rather than its power. This one is basically a 6/6, but for 7 mana and in Selesnya too. Instead of, brand new ones, just, hey, no, 3 and a green. Less restrictive casting cost, can fit in more decks out there. Also gives hexproof, and also says, again, if you got more toughness, great. If you got more power, that's fine too. I mean, most recently, we did see Ancient Lumbernut, which is actually worded in the same way as our brand new turtle. Each creature you control toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So again, it does give you that flexibility in that, hey, you're going to slap this in a deck, and if there's creatures that have, power greater than toughness, that's fine. But yeah, this is also a 4/4 for 4 mana, again in 2 colors, and now we've got a 6/6 for 4 mana in 1 color with a less restricted casting cost that also says, hey, hexproof for everything. So yeah, even compared to recent things have taken a step up. But now this episode is coming to a close. It's time for me to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on this new card and just kind of on power creep in general lately. It seems like over the past couple of years especially, things have gotten pretty crazy when it comes to power creep. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just strictly better than that previous card. Oh yeah, that's just strictly better than that. That's strictly better than that. And I think this really exemplifies it because, again, you can compare this to, old 6/6s essentially for 4 mana and the massive downsides they had. But on top of that, you can compare this to more recent cards too that are like, okay, yeah, here's a fun strategy. Yeah, toughness tribal essentially. But this is more like, no. It doesn't have to be built around. You can just throw this in any creature deck essentially. It's going to protect your creatures during your combat, actually during your turn entirely. And then also, yeah, by the way, that whole toughness thing, we don't want any feel bads when it comes to players being like, oh, darn, I have a creature in my deck that's got more power than toughness and now it's worse. No, it's like, no. It's just strictly better. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. And of course, we'll stay tuned to this channel for more exciting quick takes and spoilers. And as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.